Well, it's called Creative Coordination and Advanced Foot Techniques, and it's basically material that I compiled on the promotional clinic tour for the first DVD, Creative Control. And while I was traveling and doing clinics to promote the DVD, I got a lot of questions that were very specific, in-depth questions about, my approach to playing techniques, and especially coordination and foot technique related questions. So I just basically compiled all those questions and used them as inspiration for the second DVD. So it's really about very contemporary, high-end drumming concepts, a lot of foot techniques, a lot of examples for multi-pedal orchestrations and inspiration for people to try to play different sounds with their feet, not only with their hands, and to take polyrhythmic, polymetric, and more coordinated drumming sort of to a more extreme level, simply to inspire new ideas, new thoughts in drummers, and to show a possible new way to go in regard to development of the instrument. So I try to apply the most complex techniques today in a musical context, and try to inspire people to think differently, to try new things, and to work hard on their actual skill level, on technique, on timing, on coordination, on groove, and so on and so forth. And also added some examples, musical examples of how to use these things in your playing.
And are you studying for a third DVD? Are you
Well,
organizing something?
not at the moment. I mean, I've done 3, actually more, 4 already. I've done 2 for Hudson Music, and I did one before only in German language. That was recorded in 1994, which is also out on Hudson Music.
Yes.
And I've done one for Sonar at one point using their new pedal lines, and I've done a lot of other things like the Modern Drummer Festival DVD for Hudson Music and Ultimate Drummers Festival in Australia and a few other things. So at the moment I haven't got any immediate plans, but there is always the possibility of me doing another one. I will eventually, but not in the near future. Probably I'll leave it out there for another 2 years or so before I do something else. At rehearsals, I made some lead sheets, very simple notes, and I only use them at rehearsals. I still have them on stage here, but it's more like a safety blanket. It's like I don't really look at them. They're just there in case we change structures of songs or something like that. Then I take a quick look. These are my notes. These are my lead sheets. Revolution. And you see, it's very simple notes. All I do is, write down the count-ins, the basic groove, some of the kicks, some of the accents, how the song, sections, A, B section, what I'm doing in the section, because I obviously remember most of the songs. Sometimes it's only a groove and then counts. Sometimes it's a more elaborate pattern that I write out. So it's very simple sheets. I keep it simple. Well, I have more than one band. I have one project called Dynamo, which is it's a dance band basically. There's 3 drummers in the band and 2 DJs, 2 MCs, and a lot of dancers, and it's a real sort of club event where we play dance music with live instruments, and we do a lot of sort of spontaneous arranging and composing on stage. It's all rhythm-driven and groove-based music with hook lines and some programming and a lot of dancing, a lot of sort of high-energy action, beat-driven music. And then I have a band called Save the Robots, which is a fusion-based project, which I've had for 15 years or so. And last year we started to work again. Actually, we played in Torino also last year at a drum festival. And occasionally when I have time, and we all have time, we get together and play a week or 2 around Europe or Asia. And it's kind of high-energy fusion music, beautiful, songs that I write with the guitar player mostly. And then I have a band called Storks in Los Angeles, which is a trio with Shane Gibson on guitar, who plays with Korn, and Kai Kurosawa, bass player, who's incredible, and me. We have a trio, and it's really sort of highly complex, heavy metal, rock, fusion music, instrumental, which is a lot of fun for me to do. And then I have a lot of little other side projects and bands, but I like to keep busy, keep my chops up and my inspiration up by playing different styles of music. And I'm usually also involved production-wise, and there's a few things that I'm producing that are also sort of metal, progressive metal, instrumental metal, fusion sort of bass projects. Like I'm doing a record with Jeremy Barney at the moment in Australia. I'm doing a record with Nick DiVigilio, which is very, very interesting, this project. He's also a drummer, but also an amazing singer, which many people don't know. So we've been working on a record for about a year now, which is about to be finished now. And he sings on the record, and we wrote all the music together, and we're finishing the recordings in April this year. So that'll be out. And I'm also doing a project with Christoph Schneider from Rammstein. And I'm always involved in a lot of different things. So, yeah.
Do you rest sometime?
Yeah, I rest all the time, but I can only rest so much, then I have to do something again. Yeah, I get bored very easily.
Do you?
Yeah.
Well, apart from music, what do you like and what do you do during your rest of the day?
Well, I'm very interested in a lot of things. I read a lot. I like to read. I'm very interested in physics. I'm very interested in art. I like to be active. I have family. I have 2 boys and a wife, and I like to spend time with my family and do things with my boys. Everything from bike riding to going to the movies, just spending time with them. And also I try to be. I have a business that a t-shirt business that I have to take care of, that I'm interested in, and I enjoy doing all the designs for that. And so there's always something to do.
Mm-hmm. Which is a record that you will always bring with you?
Good question.
Thanks.
Well, one that I enjoy listening to still as much as I did when I first got it is Brigade de Blanc from Police. The Police, the second record. Still, great fun record to listen to for me. And I listen to it a lot, in hotels when I'm traveling and so on, because it's in my iTunes, so it always comes up. AC/DC, Back in Black, of course, I like, there's so many. But I also like to change it up a little, I put my iPod or my computer on shuffle, and and I'll see what comes up, I was and still am, a big fan of his playing, of everything he's done, on record, and I've seen him live many times with different artists. And yes, for a period of time, I was like a complete, Vinnie Colaiuta maniac, and I still am a huge fan of his stuff. In fact, yesterday, with a friend, we listened to a lot of the recordings he did with. What's his name? Alan Holdsworth in the 90s, and there's some absolutely amazing playing on it, and I still am a big fan of his work in every way. And for a period, he was a huge inspiration for me. Yeah, absolutely. I liked the way he made very little compromises musically, and the fact that he has an immense general musical spectrum of expression. He's not sort of a one a one-trick pony. He's not just the jazz guy or the rock guy or the whatever. He does everything very, very well, and his playing is unique. You can tell it's Vinny pretty much immediately if you listen to a recording, unless it's very generic pop or something like that. But as soon as he has the freedom to express himself, he has a very, very unique sound and touch and great ideas, and he's sort of a bulldozer musically. He just, but always in the most tasteful way. And I like the way he, regardless of what's going on, he lets it flow, and something beautiful and magical and musical happens usually when he, lets rip. And it was always a great inspiration for me. Yeah.
Go ahead. Since you've been a fan of Kola Utah, what do you think about young drummers who try to emulate?
Great. If you try and emulate Vinny, it's great.
Well, not only Vinny. I mean, trying to.
Of course, it's the way that people learn. I'm all for it. I think everybody should have an idol or something to aspire to, some inspiration. It's great. I think, if you try to sound, like somebody who's great, there's nothing wrong with that. I think, your personal sound and your personal style and your ideas, they develop over time and they evolve over time, but it's a great start. Everybody wants to sound like somebody else, up to the point where they sound like many other people and find their own sound eventually, and I think it's all good. It's one way of learning and of growing, to look up to somebody else and aspire to what they have achieved. I think it's good.